Send it off, man. I'm excited. This is big.
Here we
you
go.
should be really proud of yourself in this moment. Seriously.
It's a big day. Everyone watching, I'm Joey Camilla. I'm happy to be joined here by the Mr. Dean Pagano.
Thank you so much.
This is officially episode 1 of what I'm not calling my podcast. I'm calling our podcast. Like whoever else, if you watch it, if you want to join it one day, if we get everyone on,
you don't even have to
all
call
sorts
it a
of
podcast,
things.
man. This is just we're just recording these conversations.
Yeah, it's a conversation. I mean, the drive behind this whole thing, outside of this, has been kind of something that we've always talked about, something we've done somewhat in the past, like between different sorts of people, but
very casually. It's never been like
exactly. It's never been like, oh, let's sit down, let's map this out. Like even this, you see, there's nothing on this table, no notes that we're looking at, nothing. Like this is something that we've always talked about doing, something that kind of just comes natural a little bit. But overall, I mean, I've happy to have been able to watch Dean start his podcast and kind of start doing his thing. That kind of kicked off the inspiration. And then finally it's been come to a point where personally I've been like, this is an idea I've always had doing, but it's time just to finally sit down and do it. And that's when I called you the other day. I was like, dude, it's time. Like, let's sit down. I want you to be number one. Get on here. Let's kick things off. Run with it.
Thank you. Seriously.
Yeah.
Seriously. Thanks. And congratulations, man. Seriously.
Thank you.
I mean, I remember like it was yesterday I started my first podcast because it was only like last week. But yeah, it's a great feeling, and it's the whole idea. I mean, like I had Dom on my podcast 2 days ago, and I asked him because he's published 19 books. It's like how do you write a book? And he kind of looked at me and was like, you just write it. And that philosophy I kind of I've just applied to everything. It's like, you want to start a podcast, start it.
Yeah.
Just start it. Just pick,
Yeah, that's the thing.
That's it.
I think that's my biggest downfall of this, like in past, I would say, I don't even want to say my entire career, but maybe my recent like college career, is obviously we've all accomplished a lot. Like I'm beyond, like, not that I didn't expect it from all of us, but to see everything coming to fruition now with everyone doing what they're doing. But there's always that thing of, we always have all these ideas, but it's executing on them and finally doing something with it that is the hardest part that not too many people get to do it. So without further ado, that's why we threw this together. I mean, the whole kind of idea of this entire thing, at least from my end, is recently I've been having a lot of fun. It's been an incredible couple years for me here, but everyone's always like, oh my God, how are you doing this stuff? Like, this is insane. Like, because you see the Instagram photos of caddying for a professional golfer and going to all these trips for school and for study abroad and all that sort of stuff. And I try to tell everyone, like, this isn't something crazy. I'm not doing something that you can't be doing yourself. Mm-hmm. So to prove it, I mean, all we've got here, we got one iPhone set up there. We got a microphone and a computer.
That's
and
all you need.
A friend and a conversation. So
that's really it, man. And seriously, again, thanks for having me. I'm really excited for you and for this journey. I'm excited to be a part of it, man.
Awesome, man. So without further ado, I mean, I could talk about you all day, but I want to give you a little bit of a chance to kind of plug up what you're working on right now, and I want you to just kind of give an overall kind of introduction to you, where you're from, if they can't pick up on the accent, and go for it.
Thank you, Joey. I'll make it short and sweet. I mean, my name's Dean. I'm from Long Island, New York. 20 years old. I've known Joey for 3 years now. Yeah. Joey's the first and only person that I've ever met from Michigan. Or no, there's a couple other people. Sorry, John Flick, if I offended you. But Joey and I met about 3 years ago as freshmen in the Business Honors program here at Mercy. We both had the common interest of finance and business overall. We both have big mouths, and we kind of just got attracted to each other right off the bat and became close buds right away. Man, we've got some crazy experiences. It will absolutely not be one podcast to cover. We're going to need 10 podcasts to cover everything that we've been through. But a little bit about me. I came here because I thought that I was really interested in finance. Turns out it was just business and entrepreneurship specifically. So after my freshman year, I took a leap and decided to move down to South Florida for a startup that I was working with. I worked my way up in that company, did really well, learned a lot of different things. And then after a year's time, I decided I wanted to go full entrepreneur, take what I learned from them, use some of that capital to back some of my endeavors now. and then come back here and finish school. For mom, she said, get your degree. You've got 1 year left, and you better
Shout out, Mrs.
drop
Pagano.
out. Yeah, shout out to mom. Seriously, without you, I'd literally not be here. So shout out to mom, and shout out to all moms. Honestly, like
Tina, if you're watching on Facebook or wherever this ends up.
Seriously, Mrs. Camilla, it's been too long. I miss you. I love you, and I hope you're doing well. That's a little weird, right?
She'll take it. Mom, I don't need to toot my mom's horn, but I'll toot it for you. My mom, our moms both deserve an entire podcast.
Absolutely, yeah.
We should have moms on our podcast.
You read my mind. You read my mind. If you slow that down, and you'll see it, we both, the light bulb goes off at the exact same time. But this is actually my first guest, and you're going to come on my podcast either this weekend or next week. But my first guest on my podcast was Forrest Lyman, and he asked me on that podcast if I wanted to introduce myself to the people on episode 1. So I feel like it's only right to ask you the same thing.
Sounds good. Well, for anyone that doesn't know, my name's Joey. I'm originally from a little town called New Boston, Michigan. I know I'm reversing over here now, but for the people not from Michigan, this is the Michigan map. What we got here, real quick, I just need to fix this computer, make sure we're still going.
Yeah.
And sorry about that. But anyways, like Dean said, we met in school almost 3 years ago now. It's kind of crazy that we're juniors.
When I said that out loud, I was like, holy crap.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
And I mean, there's going to be so much content. I hate to sound like cliche, but the amount of videos and pictures and memories that we have that we could talk about for days that a lot of people have seen. I'm sure most people that are watching this know of our good buddy Phil, who Mr. Granucci, who spent a lot of time with us, and the amount of laughs that have been provided through Snapchat and Instagram between the three of us, I think could provide a lot of just comedic relief for
it's all
whoever,
love, man. Like sorry to kind of cut you off there, but just the memories, like so much comes and goes. You know what I mean? In your time, there's so much happens in your life, and you progress as a person, as a professional. You get have different influences in your life, and your passion and your goals change along the way. But some of the things that I hold truly to near and dear to my heart are like the stupid little things that you kind of experience along the way, like the jean shorts thing that we did building a house, where we had these little booty shorts on and we were building a house together.
We'll have to link the old school vlogs to this video. We'll have a click through to that, what Dean's referencing, or we did a Habitat for Humanity.
It's just it's such a stupid little thing, but it's and there's so much big things going on in our lives, but I still smile about that. Yeah,
I remember that time, around that time, I mean, it was crazy to think about that we were working on a couple real big projects for a couple big name companies, and then we were up at 5:30 in the morning cutting off jean shorts and getting ready to go build a house, and it turned out to be 50 degrees that morning. We're rocking jean shorts and tank tops at a building site. So, but I mean, it was all fun. I mean, we had a good time. It was a great cause too.
Yeah, it was fun. Man.
Yeah, but I agree with you. I mean, the amount of stories that you get from locking kids in dorm rooms and not providing any means of transportation of leaving.
Yeah, I mean, kidnapping people.
Friends.
Friends. It was all just fun, and we had their consent during the act. But I remember, putting on ski masks and going into Jerry
near
Ortiz's
Halloween time, right around this time last year.
Kidnapping them,
yeah. Shout out Jerry Ortiz
or 2 years ago, man.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, because I was in Florida last year.
Yeah, this is gonna be a lot of remember when stories, but
I think people will like to listen to it.
Definitely, I think we can have a whole storytelling thing, but I think really for this first episode, I think one of the biggest things I want to get from you, because I get a lot of the kids a couple years younger than us that are getting ready to make the leap to come to school, and I think that you and I each have a unique story coming here and kind of taking kind of a leap of faith, going to somewhere that none of our friends ever heard of. Obviously, my friends in Michigan have never heard of this place, and let alone people that live around the block from this place hardly know about it.
I grew up an hour away, and still some people don't even know about this place.
Yeah, exactly. So, we have a unique story there, but outside of that and choosing school, I think it's deeper than that. And I'm really interested to hear from your viewpoint, because I think we share a similar viewpoint nowadays, like after being here for 2 years and we're on year 3 of college and almost done, we're almost out, and you mentioned before your whole entrepreneurship gig, but like, can you provide any insight of like what you've taken away so far from college, and if you had to like go back to that senior yourself getting ready to make that decision, some things that you didn't think that mattered to you before that have turned out to be huge, or some things that you think you focused too much on that you think didn't really matter?
Sure thing, man. Yeah, that's a loaded question, but it's a good one. I mean, first and foremost, when I look back at, I mean, obviously you're still 20, right?
I'm
Yeah,
20.
we're both 20. We're still extremely young, and I'm not trying to sound like some like 50-year-old man looking back on my life, but seriously, a lot changes in 3 years.
Without
a lot. And I mean, one huge transformation for me personally was just the whole idea that and this is something to anybody that's you know, kind of going through it right now. Live your life based on your beliefs and your passions. And the big issue with that is, I mean, my kind of anecdote for that one, and my coming of age story with realizing that I need to stop doing things to make other people happy and do things for me to be genuinely happy, was coming to finance school, being influenced by a lot of people that had careers in finance, but deep down inside just not loving it enough to be able to work for 15 years, 14-hour days in it, where I realized, yeah, I'm in school for finance. Yeah, learning about finance is important to manage my own money, but I do not want a career at a bank. Mm-hmm. And that was a really, really, really tough process. It was pretty much a year-long process for me where I couldn't figure out what it was. And it just stemmed down to doing things because other people were telling me it was the right thing to do. Mm-hmm. And obviously there's some obvious ones like you know, making the right choices or like hanging around the right people. But if somebody that doesn't really know you that well is trying to tell you that you should do finance and you deep down inside don't like it, then don't do it. Yeah. It's as simple as that. You're not wrong and you're not different. Like, you just don't like it. Yeah. And figuring that out and really, really acting on it is very important.
And it's hard.
It's really, really hard. Like I said, it took me a year to realize it. And then once I realized it, I just acted on it.
Yeah. And I think even
that's when I moved to Florida.
I think even before that and then after that too, I think I can like add on, like, to me, like, I feel like a lot of kids, and I don't want to use kids. I don't want to sound like we're talking down to kids younger than us, but so I still consider myself a kid.
Definitely.
And I think that one of the things even that I can relate to somewhat is kind of having that predetermined path of like having it drilled in that you need to go to college, that you need to go to a big school, you need to follow that path. And if that's not something that you truly want to do, like, you really got to look at yourself and be like, am I going to be happy here? Because a lot of these times you're signing a big commitment. Granted, you can change, you can do what you want, but I mean, this is some valuable time. Granted, you have a lot of time to work with, but and a substantial, investment you're making in yourself and in your future. So I think overall, it's a huge decision to be made, and it's something that you really have to do yourself, and you can't really listen to too many people's opinions. Even, I don't want to say like rebel against your parents, but if your parents are leading you down a path that you don't want to be led down, I'm saying to rebel and go wild, but you got to hold true to who you really are.
Absolutely.
And I think that's where we both actually had a great advantage. I mean, we shouted out our moms kind of as a joke at the beginning, but like between both my parents, I never had my hand forced into something that I wanted to do or didn't want to do. It was kind of just like, you do you and stay out of trouble and that kind of thing.
Yeah, and going off of that too, like, what a lot of people don't realize is when you try to make a career out of something, like the past 3 years has just been testing for us. Mm-hmm. It's like, I tried finance and realized very quickly that I didn't like it. And the idea of a career to me just means something that you have to do from when you wake up to when you go to sleep to earn money and for decades.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to consume a lot of your life. So when I realized that I didn't like finance after 3 months of my freshman year as a finance major, I was like, okay, I need to make a change or I'm just going to regret or just turn around and be like 40 years old and be like, wow, like I really did not live a fulfilling life. Going off of that, if you really, really love something, say it's visual art or making music or whatever it is, and you deep down inside know that you can do that sustainably, then eventually you will make money from it. It's impossible to not to be able to support yourself if you're doing something for 10 hours a day, 5 days a week, 7 days a week for 5 to 10 years. You know what I mean? So there's no reason not to try.
Yeah, and I think that was like what I wanted to lead into, and you just led me in perfect, was I think one of the greatest lessons, and this kind of stems off the question I originally asked, but I think one of the greatest things that I've learned here at school, well, first off, I think that some of the greatest things that I have learned have been outside of the classroom. I think we can almost both agree there that you learn a lot in class, like you learn what you need to, but there comes a point where what you're learning is what you're writing down on that test, and when you're out of your brain after the test. Granted, you got your fundamentals and you get that and you get out, but the stuff that we've learned both interacting with each other and all our friends and all the people that you meet, and then I mean even in jobs and internships and that kind of stuff, I think if there's one thing that I've really taken away from college, and the one thing that I would like advise other people, is that I think that one of the most valuable things for me wasn't necessarily learning what I wanted to do, but learning what I didn't want to do, and exactly what you just mentioned. Like having that one internship that I hate, like I could not like bear like waking up in the morning to have to go to. I learned so much more from that than I did any other thing in my life, because like I cannot do that. Like I cannot have a work environment of just no social activity, no upbeat. Everybody was miserable and not happy to be there, and it was just it was eye-opening to me. It was like it was coming to a graveyard every morning.
Yeah. Taking it even a step further, the cliche of learning from your mistakes, or as people say, failing forward.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't realize it, but a lot of people don't know how to do that.
Yeah.
Most people don't know how to do that. And that's really detrimental. And I'll tell you why. Obviously, you've done it many times, and I've done it many times, but I talked about it on my last podcast, actually, that's not out yet, with Chris Sorello, and we talked about how we've learned more from our failures, and you typically will learn more from your failures than from your successes, because when you succeed at something and everything goes as planned, that's how you were going, that's the mindset that you had going into it. So there's really, you'll learn, mm-hmm. right? But there's really not much of like a surprise factor.
Yeah.
But when you go into something, you plan it out from start to finish in your head, and it doesn't go as planned, you can literally analyze, where did I go wrong? Why? And how can I not do that again?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I can think of a million different examples, both in the classroom and out, but like even in real life, because I don't want to focus too much on the classroom, because I think personally, the outside of the classroom stuff is what I find most important, mm-hmm. and that like real world experience of having work and having done work for a couple companies now, and having something just literally just fall apart, and you like, I was just like at a rock bottom. This is just this past summer, like, and you are constantly just breaking something and nothing's working. I think it was like a failure on so many levels, but then once it was rebuilt, like being able to drill back down and having that full grasp understanding because of that failure. Like if I would have just picked something up and it would have worked right away, I would have got to the final presentation I had to do, and if I would have got a couple of the questions that I did get, I'd have had no idea of how to even address them. But now that I literally destroyed the thing and had to do it all myself and learn from each one of those little mistakes, it was a cakewalk.
Yeah. Yeah, no, dude, I couldn't agree more. Fail forward, guys. Seriously, that's a huge piece of advice that I can't tell you how much that's helped me out in my life. That's one of like my always at the top of my mind.
Yeah.
No matter what, I want to before we kind of move off this topic, Forrest Lyman, one of our good friends, just released a book.
I was gonna say we'll make sure to link his
definitely book. Transcend. Seriously, and I'm not even kidding. I dove into it because it's Forrest and he's one of my good friends and he's been talking about it for years and working on it for years. But and I'm not just saying this because he's my friend, but I haven't finished the book yet. But there's one bit that I've been reading about it, and I don't want to give it away. I suggest clicking the link in this description and getting one yourself because it's completely worth it. But he talks about this concept that he says, be like water. And basically water is transparent, it's fluid, it's open, and it's curious, right? And the opposite of that would be concrete, which is stubborn, closed-minded, right? So when you go into something and let's say a business endeavor and you lose a lot of money in it, instead of that happened, it's done, it's in the past. So when you move forward, you take that and you basically, like I said, be inquisitive about it. Why did it fail? What could I do differently next time? Instead of just beating yourself up over it or getting frustrated, just take a step back, take some breaths, and be like water. Just be transparent with yourself. Ask yourself, did I do something? Was it out of my control? Did I mess up on something? Those are the questions that you have to ask. And like I said, Transcend, Forrest Lyman, it's really, really good. That's kind of my point there.
Forrest will be on here at some point. Forrest, another shout out from the both of us. I mean, we can't speak to how proud we are. I mean, at least I can speak on Dean's behalf too. Getting to watch Forrest go through the process and watch a friend write a book. I mean, I remember like nights where I'm getting ready to lay down and you just hear Forrest typing on his keyboard. I'm like, man, didn't we just finish all that homework? I'm like, what are you up to? He's writing a book. Like,
he taught us a lot, man. And
available on Amazon.
Yeah, and it comes from like just his upbringing and just the mentality, man. He's one of the strongest. His mentality is one of the strongest that I've seen at such a young age, and it's definitely inspired us. And as a group, it brought this different factor, kind of like into our friend group, and just propelled us forward. So, Forrest, you know how I feel about you, bro.
Yeah, we have to get all four of us in on one. On one day
and
too.
I'm also I don't want to be that guy, but I'm also my background is in digital marketing. We'll talk about that. I worked with a big e-commerce startup that was doing millions of dollars in revenue. We've grown some of the fastest growing Shopify stores of all time, and I worked with them for the last year, and now I'm taking that knowledge and working on my own things. But I haven't told anybody, but I'm actually going to be publishing my first book on digital marketing strictly. Just sharing some tips and tricks that I've learned in the space next week.
Oh, dude, congrats.
Yeah, I've been grinding on it. Thought of writing it about a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago, and I've just pounded it out. So.
Oh my gosh. Well,
I'll send that to you. Send you the link.
What to do? I'll do a quick little read of it. Maybe we'll go through it.
But it'll be a good one. I mean, if anybody's looking to propel or boost their personal brand, their business, boost their SEO, get onto the first page of Google, whatever it is, there will be all the tricks in there. So.
Definitely, and I mean, everyone who's like hearing that, if you see all the ads you get on Facebook and that kind of stuff, it's the stuff that actually, you're talking the whole, like, you're not trying to sell one of those stupid, give me this couple $1,000, I'll teach you my thing. Like, what I was able to learn from you and hear from your experience that you had in Florida was, like, just learning how, I guess I'd let you speak to that too a little bit if you want to transition to that a little bit, but really like what you took away from that experience and what it was, if you want to tell them about it.
So I worked for an agency down in Florida called 12th Bean, and what we did basically was so the founder of the company is a guy named Jared Getz, and Jared had the second fastest growing Shopify store next to Kylie Jenner. So it was Kylie Cosmetics was number 1, and then Jared Getz was number 2. Which is pretty cool. He was living in LA at the time, and he had just left the company called Yik Yak, which I'm sure you've heard of. It was the anonymous chat room for, a certain radius. And he had just left that company. He was doing marketing for them. And one of his buddies was in China at an expo. And he called him up and he was basically like, hey, I have something for you. You're going to love it. Tell me where to send it. No questions asked. So Jared was like, all right, whatever. So what he sent to Jared was actually the hoverboards. I don't know if you guys remember those hoverboards. It was a viral trend 3, 4, maybe 5 Christmases ago.
Yeah.
And that was the first hoverboard in the US. And Jared was, saw it, the entrepreneur that he is. He capitalized on it. He was the first person to bring that to the US. Which is a pretty cool fact. Made a lot of money off of those. And then with the hoverboards, he had warehouses in the US. And he, talking to him, obviously, as he's my mentor, he told me the one problem with that business model was having inventory, which is a headache. So that's when he got introduced to drop shipping. And he saw the biggest problem with drop shipping is that people were building out these websites, say, I want to sell iPhone cases. They would be like iPhonecases.com, and they were drop shipping. But when iPhone cases, that was just an example, when iPhone cases stopped trending or weren't popular anymore, these people had put in all of this upfront work for nothing. So Jared basically coined the idea called drop surfing, which is drop shipping with a general store that you can just sell on a whim whatever's trending at the moment. So you can sell fidget spinners for 3 months. As soon as that flatlines with sales, what else is trending? Sell the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. And through this business model, he was able to do $2 million in revenue in 60 days on a brand new store. So he moved down to South Florida to relocate, just kind of get away from the noise, and started a firm called 12th Bean. And I joined early on as a customer support specialist, just working, answering questions in the Facebook group for some of our students to teach them how to drop surf. And then early on, I got into the sales team and I was doing high ticket sales for the first time. Did really well with that for about 9 months. And then I started developing Jared's content. So I started his podcast, his YouTube channel, really started organically branding his company. Loved what I was doing, but at the end of the day, I just wanted to do it for myself.
Yeah.
I know that was a lot, but
but
I don't even know if I answered your question.
No, I think so. But off of that, I just want to give people a background so they have like an idea of what you actually do, so that kind of have some authenticity of like where you're coming from with your book. But I was gonna say, with your whole idea of with your book, you said you're titling it on like online marketing or like social media marketing.
Yeah, I haven't thought of the title yet, or picked out a title yet, but it'll be basically like digital marketing or just marketing in the digital age, something along those lines.
Yeah, so I just wanted to circle that back because I didn't want people to come and think like whether you're in high school or whether you're a parent or grandparent, the idea of digital marketing isn't going to be just setting up one of those stores, but I know plenty of moms out there that sell those essential oils or all sorts of stuff.
Sure.
And that kind of stuff, like with what you're talking about and what you've experienced and done with those classes and stuff that you're working with and the drop shipping and drop surfing, taking not necessarily that online e-com aspect of it, but taking that digital marketing aspect and the effect that can have that people don't see. I mean, we're fortunate enough to follow all sorts of things and understand when people like Gary Vee are talking about the like untapped potential of Facebook and Instagram. I think in terms of even high schoolers might be tough, but I mean, I really think like our people like around our parents' age and that kind of crowd, people that run businesses like that and small family businesses that don't utilize a simple Facebook ad.
It's cringeworthy.
It's crazy. Like that people will pay for a billboard at a gas station, which I don't even know how much is running nowadays, but that you could have 10 times that effect with a $5 or $10 Facebook ad.
Here's the thing too, is that since people haven't learned how to harness it yet for themselves, because it is complex, it's not easy, it's not something that you can just log into Facebook, especially people a couple of generations older than us. You can't just log into the Facebook ads manager and understand exactly what to do. So Facebook has an option to just let Facebook spend your budget, and that is the worst. I was actually just talking to a client of mine today, That is the worst thing that you could possibly do, because Facebook's algorithms are very, very smart. Very smart. But they're just not that smart. You can't tell a robot to put it in front of the exact audience. Otherwise, Facebook would literally rule the world if they knew the answers to that. So it's kind of just a way for Facebook to just get your money, right? Going off of that, that's popular now because like these social media platforms understand that people don't know how to harness it yet.
Yeah.
So it's really, really cheap right now to do it.
Yeah.
Right, because we're still in the early stages of this idea, but they have the data. At the end of the day, there's no data on who's crossing your billboard every single day, but we have over 500 data points on average on every single Facebook user.
Yeah.
And one data point, just as an example, would be like your age.
Mm-hmm.
So 500 of those on average, your interests, your relationship status. About 2 years ago, there was a Supreme Court case with Zuckerberg, and the only thing that came out of that is that you can't target based on income levels. However, you can still target based on zip codes.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like you do a simple Google search, find out what zip codes are wealthy if you're selling a high ticket product, and you can target those. So there's really no limit to what you can do on Facebook ads. And for those of you that don't know, Facebook owns Instagram. So when I say Facebook ads, I'm just referring to the whole thing, Facebook and Instagram.
Yeah, I think this is going to be crazy. I just like talking about this now, like being able to come back to this in 5 years and hear us talk about this. I think it'll be nuts because I constantly think about stuff like people advertising their garage sales on Craigslist. Like to think of what effect someone could have by putting $5 onto Facebook and saying like, hey, this is the garage sale we're having, and hitting your local neighborhood with a boosted advertisement, because how many people don't have a Facebook account nowadays? Like, let's just think about that and the untapped potential. I mean, it's going to take a lot of time. Granted, it is flatlining. It's not, I don't want to say flatlining, but it's coming down. It's not what it used to be, but I still think that the potential for that is tremendous. So I think
massive.
What you're working on right now, what you're getting ready to share, I think could help a ton of people. So when you do see me post about what Dean's working on, I'll definitely take a look at it myself and kind of help to shape it to who I think I can share it with. But I think what I'm trying to say is, don't dismiss that as like something like, oh, I don't want to start an online shopping store. But if you have any sort of business, or if there's anything you want to do, the idea of leveraging social media and marketing, I think, is tremendous.
Absolutely. And you can always, seriously, if you're watching this and you really are serious about getting into it, or you have any questions, I don't bite. Reach out to me. Joey's going to have my credentials down below. Just reach out to me, check it out. I'm constantly posting some information. Whatever, let's connect. Shoot me a message. On another note, on that same note, I started recently about 2 months ago. I've been launching, and I'm pretty much done with all the foundational stuff. But I launched a full-service digital media agency. It's my own. It's called True Lead Generation. And exactly what the name says, we generate leads for companies. We can grow your social account. I can get you verified on Instagram in a couple of days, whatever it is that you want. So you want the first page of Google. They say the best place to hide a dead body is on the second page of Google. Nobody's ever going to look there. So if you're a dentist in Kalamazoo, Michigan, and you're on the 6th page of Google, nobody's getting their teeth cleaned by you, man. You got to get number one. So reach out to me. Like I said, you can check me out on Instagram.
All right, so in the spirit of the podcast, we ran out of memory on one phone, so just to prove that it's a learning experience and whatnot. So swap phones, we're good, but just to prove that you just roll with the punches and
that's it.
Keep it going. I mean,
it was a sign from the podcast guys that I wasn't talking about anything interesting, so I needed to change topics.
Yeah. So, I guess we'll kind of bring it back to kind of bring it to the end. I think overall, do you have any, let's not say. So after...
You gotta leave all that in. This is gold, this episode 1 podcast screw-ups right here is golden.
Yeah.
The stuttering and the slip-ups.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
It's beautiful in its own way. But yeah, I mean, so after we lost one phone to running out of storage in your phone, if anyone can ever relate to that, we swapped the phones out. We're going to finish this up here. I got a couple more minutes with Dean Pagano. As we just talked about, I mean, the stuff he's been up to with his marketing endeavors and his experience in Florida, and the book he's getting ready to drop that I just now learned about with you. So really excited for that. Can't wait to see where that comes and goes to. Is there anything else you want to get off on that aspect before we jump into
No, I mean, I think kind of back to like what we said way earlier about just testing. Like, I came into school as a finance guy and and did a total 360, 180, and now I ended up doing kind of entrepreneurship, marketing. I mean, most of entrepreneurship is marketing, to be honest. And yeah, I mean, and that's okay, you know? So like I said, to anybody that feels like they're kind of stuck in a rut, don't settle for it. I guess that's what I'm getting at. Don't settle if you're not all in. Like, I'm so content and I get to wake up every single day and I don't really work.
Yeah.
I just if I wasn't getting paid for what I do, I'd be doing it still because I enjoy that.
Yeah, and I think the one thing I want to get in this closing, and one thing that I've really learned from you throughout our entire friendship is that while you were always kind of a visionary person, you always had these ideas and stuff, and we all kind of would sit down and hammer those ideas. Like, the one thing I've really taken away, especially recently, and the reason that we're sitting here and doing this today, and the reason you're the guest number one on this podcast is you were the one that finally always were able to kind of take action and finally start to do something, always encouraging me to do so. So with that being said, if there's any, anyone out there from high school, middle school to college kids, our friends to parents and grandparents there's always been something that you've been wanting to do or start, like, there is no better time than right now. I mean, what's the worst thing that can happen? If nobody listens to this podcast, the value I have having this on my computer and in 20 years being able to show my kid the time I was talking to Dean Pagano in my apartment in Dobbs Ferry. Like,
thank you, man. That's really kind. And I mean, look, summed up, man, when I was in sales, there's something that I always used to say, and it literally, like, it's something that will keep me up at night, to be honest. And it's after a long conversation with potential clients, I would ask them this genuinely from the heart. I would ask them, what happens if you don't take action? And it was always just silence. Think about it. Think about it. What happens if you don't take action? Nothing. No. If you really, really, really want something to happen, and here's the thing, you will fail.
Yeah. Without a doubt.
You will fail.
Cameras will run out of storage.
Episode 1, podcast died. Beautiful. Joey could have ended his podcast right there. Maybe he goes, you know what? Camera died on episode 1, forget it. I'm not suited for this podcast. No. Man. You know how many episodes I filmed or tried to film before I actually released episode 1 with Forrest? 4. Yeah. The first time the mics weren't even on. I talked for 50 minutes and the mics weren't even on. The second time, one of the cameras didn't record, so it would have just been Forrest the whole time. Yeah, man. Like, you will fail. Sorry, no, that's it, man. It's just, you will fail. Like, understand that. It's not like, oh, maybe I'll fail. Like, no, you want to start a business, you will lose money big time.
Yeah. Yeah,
but you will. Again, you have to love it.
That's where your greatest lessons learned. If you think that, I mean, it could happen, but I can guarantee you that I'll double check my iPhone storage. Not that I wasn't concerned about it before. Me and Dean even talked about it for a second before, but like something like, say, as simple as that. It's like, if I weren't to fail doing that, who knows if I were to have someone that was visiting in town that I only had a certain amount of time with, and that happens, it's not like I could have had an easy solution. So that, who knows how valuable that lesson will become in the future. So,
exactly.
I mean, I can't hammer away enough. I've been fortunate enough for some reason that I've had enough like younger people come to me and ask me certain questions and stuff. And I don't think of myself as like a role model type yet. I mean, I'm still 20 years old. I'm not putting any of us on a pedestal. We're all the same at the end of the day.
Yeah.
But if there's anything that I've learned from being here and being friends with the people I'm friends with, it's like, just do it, dude. Just I don't want to steal
that right, man.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah, just shoot for it.
Yeah, seriously, man.
And then I have one more thing for you.
Sure, man. I'm here. I'll talk all night if you want.
For all my people on Facebook watching this, I recently posted on Facebook with a very strong worded post of calling for people to take action on something that I was passionate about. And you're going to enjoy this. And I know we talked about Forrest earlier, and Forrest is really going to get a kick out of this. Because I just so happened to find a little pack of mystery Oreos at the store. Have you seen these yet?
No, I haven't.
So yeah, Oreo is doing a little campaign of having a mystery flavor. If you guess the flavor, you win $50,000. Well, not everyone that guesses it, but if you guess it correctly, you get entered in a drawing. So
could I taste one?
That was kind of the idea.
Oh, okay. I didn't mean to jump the gun.
Yeah, so I've actually, believe it or not, had a couple of these before.
And this is also, before you open this, this is good ASMR for those guys.
Oh, yeah. So
it's they're gonna taste wet, weird.
What? Dude, so yeah, I posted a strong opinion post. Dude, I would love for you to eat one. You can take two. I have my opinion on what they are.
I need to get into the right mental state.
Yeah. So this is a special shout out to my mother, who is the biggest cookie fan I know, the biggest dessert fan. I get it from her. It's never not have Oreos or some sort of cookie.
It has an oaky afterbirth. I'm going in.
Yeah, go for it. I never eat my Oreos in 2 bites ever. Get that ASMR chewing in there.
Yeah, I didn't get it.
I'll tell you my initial thought. I thought it was some sort of like graham cracker.
Mm.
And then I thought gingerbread.
Mm.
But then I was like, I actually didn't think gingerbread. Maria thought gingerbread. Her friend Maria Squatrito. Thought Maria. Not
gingerbread. I know what it is.
What is it?
It's another. Who Nabisco makes these?
Yeah.
It's another Nabisco snack. I'll tell you what it is.
I know what you're thinking. A little
Teddy Grahams.
Teddy Grahams. That's what I thought too.
No way.
Teddy Grahams.
Yeah.
But that wasn't my final guess, but that was one of my original thoughts.
I'm submitting that.
Okay, well.
Where do I submit that? That's the answer. Do you have Teddy Grahams right now?
Yes. No, I don't. But let me tell you. So Oreo. Also, if you go to mysteryoreo.com to submit your guess, they release a couple clues a week. So there's still like 5 more clues to come out. So I was reading the clues, and then I ate one more, and I was like, I first thought cinnamon Teddy Grahams is something we talked about. I had got a group together to try these, and they were like, it's something cinnamony. Had the mouth.
Yeah, sure.
And I was like, cinnamon, like, what is that? Like, it's a familiar taste. And then it hit me, and I was like, just to eat one more.
Yeah. It's not bad. I thought it was gonna be like some like.
Eat me one more, and then I'll tell you.
Something stupid.
Think of like a theme park.
A theme park.
Yeah, like what you would like snacks at a theme park. That kind of flavor.
I don't think I've ever been to a theme park.
You never been to Disney, dude? I'm almost confident that was a lie. You've never been to a theme park. Cinnamon snack from a theme park.
Got it. Churro?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So as soon as I did that, and then they had like they released a couple of guesses, and one of them was about like being named after like some sort of like ram or a goat. And then after doing some web deep dives, I caught on to a couple of the clues, and I'm almost 99. I don't want to guarantee. I don't like using the word guarantee for anything.
I say that on sales calls.
Yeah.
Am I guaranteed to make money? Well, I can't guarantee you anything.
Yeah.
But
Never use the G word. Sports betting, sales calls.
I actually used to say that specifically. I used to say, well, I'm not, I can't use the G word on this call.
I'm making a mess.
Yeah, you are.
But I definitely.
So, what was your research about the Rams?
I could pull up all the clues, but there's like 3 or 4 clues. Long story short, I'm like super confident in this being churro. Like, so far the clues are like 3 for 3. So what I'm saying is, I'm almost giving you like, hey, the first giveaway of this podcast is telling you that this is churro flavored Oreo, giving you your free shot at 50 grand. Be one of the biggest giveaways of this podcast is if you win $50,000, I'll only ask for a small percentage as a thank you, but churro Oreo, man, book it. You can guess like twice a day. MysteryOreo.com. No free ads to Oreo, but big fan. I highly suggest it. They're delicious. I really enjoy them.
I'm confused. I just ate the filling first.
Mm-hmm.
The filling tastes like cinnamon. The cookie tastes like regular Oreo.
Yeah. Well,
So I think that the best way to guess it would be this: you buy a full case of these.
mm-hmm.
Okay. You take all the cookies off. You compile all the liquid and you blend it up, mix it with like a little bit of water, and you drink it. You know how strong the flavor sensation will be if you do that?
I'm already pretty confident in this being churro.
I don't know.
And there was even a clue that was like, it's something about it being served like with chocolate, hence why we put it in an Oreo. Churros and chocolate are served.
Yeah. Well, I used to work
There's
in
something
a
about it
Mexican
being of
restaurant.
Spanish descent.
Let me tell you something gross. If Tony or Pete from my old, I'm not going to say the name of it, but from my old restaurant are listening to this, those are my old managers. You guys might be really mad about this. What I used to do, I was a busboy. What I used to do was we had these really, really delicious churros as a dessert, Mexican restaurant churros, right? And the churros would come as it was the plate. It was a long white plate, and there was like a little caramel sauce, a little chocolate sauce, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 mini churros stacked, right? And so it's not like, all right, hear me out. It's not like I was taking a half-eaten burrito off of the table and eating it in the back. But sometimes, sometimes I'd be working late shifts. Maybe I worked a double shift, right? And it's like midnight, 1 a.m., 2 a.m., whatever. And I'm starving, so hungry. And I would take the churros into the back, and like maybe I brought out the churros to the table, and then they leave, and I'm clearing off the table, and there's like 3 churros left on it. I would take them to the back, look around, and I would just eat like a churro and dump it out. Just like one of them. No big deal. Like I said, it's not like I'm eating somebody's half-eaten burrito. It's just a churro. No harm, no foul.
So you heard it. I mean, come on, can you confirm it tastes like a churro?
I feel like that's so basic, man. Like,
You want to make a friendly wager on it? That way we can follow up with this in a couple months when this is finally announced. Are you
Sure.
disagreeing with me?
sure, I'll put in my bet for Teddy Grahams.
Teddy Grahams. Okay, I'm deadlocked on churro. I think it's almost the closest I can ever come to using the G word ever on this podcast will be with these Oreos. I'm telling you, $50,000, my gift to you. Take your shot. Every day.
I'm going to use the G word on this podcast right now. I can guarantee you that this podcast will succeed.
That's a big G word.
It's a big G word. On that note, I want to ask you this on a serious note.
Yeah.
All right. The word success is the most confusing word to me.
Yeah.
Ever. And I'll tell you why. I wouldn't say it's a pet peeve, but one thing that I've thought about a lot recently is when people say, when you are successful,
Yeah.
blah, 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 blah. I don't like that much, and I'll tell you why. Because I already feel like I'm successful.
Mm-hmm.
Let me explain. Not in a cocky way.
Yeah.
But the fact that I could wake up with a smile on my face, have a smile on my face throughout the day, and go to sleep with a smile on my face. I'm healthy. My family is healthy. I'm happy. I have a lot of things that I'm working towards that are going in the right direction. It's a slow process, but my question is always like, I'm successful now. So like, what is your definition? Like, what's the day? Is it when my bank account hits a certain number? Like, what's the day that you, the person that's saying when you're successful, that you identify success with?
Yeah, I mean,
What do you think about that?
like personally, I mean, this is obviously a big topic that comes up quite a bit. But I think for me, like recently, I'm not trying to sound like super old, but it's really been changing for me recently. It's always been something like I was always so fixated. Like whenever someone would ask me that exact question, I'd be like, the day I get my hands on the Lamborghini key and just get to touch the start button, it was like, that's it. Like, that's it.
Man, Jared drove a Lamborghini. He's
Yeah.
owned 2 Lamborghinis in his life, and he told me, I've gotten to drive his Lamborghini too.
Mm-hmm.
Cool for a 6'5" guy.
Yeah.
It's alright. But he was like, dude, I was like stoked about it for like 3 months, and then it was just like,
Yeah.
he's like, honestly, it started to become a nuisance because you couldn't go anywhere without people like stopping you.
Yeah. So but for me, it was always that like that materialistic thing of having that Lambo, just to be like, I got it, I made it. Don't get me wrong, do I still want the Lambo? Yeah, kind of. Like, just, that's always been like
Being
that,
honest.
like the fantasy, like the idea of it. And it's not even for like, oh, look at my Lambo. It's just like, growing up as a kid, like that's the thing that I always looked up, like, oh my God, if I could ever do that. But like, as of recently, and I think it goes back to what you were saying earlier, is that I, unfortunately and fortunately, have got to watch some people that, I don't want to say that I've been close with, but people that I've known, or friends of friends, and even, I mean, I'll keep it at that, but people that I've had contact with lead themselves down a path for chasing something like that Lamborghini, and leading themselves down a path of being unhappy and miserable, and doing something that they don't love doing, but the money's good.
Yeah.
So I wrote like 7 papers in high school that said money does buy happiness. I always thought that. Like, I literally, if you go on my Google Drive,
That's another one that drives me crazy.
at least
Money
4
doesn't
papers
buy
on that. So, but I think it sounds so
Money buys
cliche.
freedom, bro. Money buys freedom.
Exactly. And I mean, I don't want to go down the whole like the cool trendy path of like money doesn't matter, because money does matter. Like you just said, money is your freedom, and I like don't ever have to worry about paying the bills. But I mean, to me, the whole idea of success is essentially what you said, is being able to do what I want to do, whether that be go take a vacation and go see my family, and just being able to bounce back on weekends and go do what I need to do, and then at the same time enjoying everything that I'm doing and having the choice to do what I want to do.
Yeah.
I think that's the key that I just kind of think I discovered, is having the choice is where I have success. Like if I wanted to stop going to school right now and go do my thing, like knowing I have that freedom, and then I think that's really it, is having the people and the things that I find most important available to me whenever I need them.
Yeah, I couldn't have said it better.
Yeah. But is there anything else you add to that? You thought spur off of that?
No, honestly, dude, seriously, thanks for having me here. I'm really excited to see this podcast continue to grow, and I'm excited to be a part of many episodes and make some good memories here. And yeah, man.
There's a lot of stories to be shared still. I want to thank everyone. If you took the time to listen to this, I can't thank you enough. I can vouch again. I know I've said it a million times during this, but please check out Dean's stuff. He's up to some crazy awesome stuff that I look up to. One of my biggest inspirations. Insane that I get to call this guy one of my best friends, and that I can talk him into coming over my apartment to record a podcast at
I was like 2.5 hours late to this too. I apologize for that, man.
But what day is it? It's like October.
Thursday.
Yeah, October. We're like October. I don't even know what day
October 14th.
No. It's my sister's birthday. That's next week.
October.
I think it's October. Hold on, it's gonna bother me. October 10th. So it's October 10th, 2019.
I wasn't too far off.
I didn't think of how we want to wrap this. I originally said we were going to eat Oreos, but one last and final thank you. Please, to everyone who's watching this, keep a lookout for our new stuff. We're going to keep it as entertaining as possible. Every once in a while we'll get serious, but we'll try to mix in arguing about some Oreos. I'm still rocking my churro bet. Dean's running away with his graham cracker. If you want to sound off on that, help us out. If there's anything that we could do to provide any sort of value, all of our stuff's going to be linked. Any questions that we could possibly answer, any sort of constructive feedback, criticism, obviously.
Yeah.
Happy to hear.
I love this, man. Like, I know we're kind of wrapping up here, but like this moment in time is so special For you, seriously. And it's like I'm honestly humbled that you asked me to be a part of this one, and everything that you've said to me has seriously meant a lot, man. It goes both ways, but like, take a moment right now and just realize like this is so awesome.
Yeah, I mean,
you think about. I mean, I'm 5 episodes into my podcast, and I've learned so much myself, on and off camera.
Mm-hmm.
I've had some amazing conversations. I've been able to reconnect with people. I've been able to have people that I haven't talked to in years reach out to me. People that I don't know. I've met people through the podcast. It's crazy how this just like accelerates you forward, and I know you love this too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like me and you both, like we share this common thread of just being able to sit down and have these organic convos, just have fun with it, man.
Definitely.
So
yeah, to close, actually, there's one more thing.
Sure, we don't have to close yet, man.
I mean, it's kind of brings it to close. I think one thing we've talked about it somewhat before, but I guess I'll use this platform to for a little like personal thing for episode 1. I never really posted about it. I know you're up to some big stuff coming up soon. But not too many people know, but I just so happened a couple weeks ago accepted an offer to start at Unilever in July, so officially be
I didn't want to say it. I was going to put you on blast, but I didn't know if that was off limits, but tell them about it, man. That's exciting.
Yeah, I mean, we'll definitely get into it in later podcasts.
If you don't know what Unilever is, stop for a second and look around your house or wherever you're watching this from, and I guarantee you there's a Unilever product watching this podcast with you right now.
It's probably one of them nearby.
This is not.
That's Nabisco. But, well, I mean, if you own any Axe, Dove, Lipton, Ben & Jerry's, Breyers, Klondike.
The list goes on and on. Vaseline.
It's over 400 brands.
Tresemme.
I think just to bring this all back together, I wanted to tie this back up for anyone that was listening earlier and you stuck through this entire thing. But when I talked about learning what I didn't want to do, and that environment that I couldn't deal with, I was fortunate enough to have an experience this past summer, spending 10 weeks at Unilever and doing a role in finance and being around some incredible people. Beyond fortunate and grateful to have the opportunity to join full time. So this will be both of our last year at school, right? So this is
yeah, man. It's crazy. We both finish up so early. We'll both be 21 when we wrap up, and then be off on our own thing. It feels like, not that it's over, but like school.
Yeah.
But it feels like I think we're very well prepared. I mean, I know we're very, very well prepared for it. It's just exciting, man.
So there's
great.
A lot to come. This won't end no matter where we go. I can't wait to see where this goes, to reflect back on episode 1 and looking now at a phone propped up on a tripod. I hope this never changes, but it only goes up from here. One last final thank you again to anyone who's stuck through after 3 tangents of trying to close and us going into more stories. If you stuck around to this point, thank you so much. Please stay with us. Keep checking in. I'd love to get everyone as involved as possible. Last final shout out to the Dean Pagano, Pagano. All the links underneath. Check his stuff out. We'll be back with more soon. So Dean,
Jerry, I appreciate it.
Thank you enough, man. Thank you. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate it.
Dude, it was sweet, man. This was a good podcast.